But today is a special service. In Unity, we have some services that are experiential, some services that are reflective. And the Burning Bowl is one of those services. So you have arrived for your divine appointment because what happens today only happens once a year, so that we know you are called here by the infinite wisdom within and the infinite love that surrounds you. So there is support here for you today for this service, but this service is about reflection. This service is about healing. This service is about letting go of anything that we no longer need to or want to bring into the new year. And maybe there are things that we've tried to release before, we've tried to heal. Today is not about trying. Today is about allowing. Today is about opening up a sacred and a safe space to not have to push the emotions and the fears and the thoughts or the limitations aside, to not be alone in a place where we're, anyone have had that experience where you have anxiety, you have all these things bombarding your mind about all the what ifs, about all the whens and the times in the past, and this happened and that happened, about regrets that just seem to come with you wherever you are, so you're really not alone, but you're not with the ones that you want to be with? This is the time to simply bring it all in and know that in this moment, in this space, anything can happen. Because we're calling on the fullness of consciousness here. We're calling on the fullness of our source and the fullness of spirit. And where two or more are gathered, there I am in the midst of you. There is the holy presence. There is the transformation. So this Burning Bowl service is about letting our emotions be. I saw a movie, it was called Thank You for Sharing, and I saw it just recently, and there was a part where one of the main characters was explaining to someone about how to deal with emotions. And he said, emotions are like kids. You don't want them driving the car, but you can't really stick them in the trunk either. So you don't want them driving your life, right? You don't want them creating a mighty magnet that draws things to them, right? If I have emotions and a field of consciousness around me and within me that says life is hard, life is suffering, it's not fair, it hurts me, life is against me, there's not enough, fill in the blanks, right? There's not enough, everyone disappoints me, whatever it is, I can't count on people, I've showed up poorly, whatever it is. If we have that consciousness, then what happens? Our eyes become filters to see it, right? Because the universe is a grand yes. So if we're looking for something, it'll say, yes, here it is again, right? Don't we have all the opportunities in the world to see suffering, hatred, anger, discord, upset? Do we not have all the opportunities in the world to see those things? Of course we do. And it is completely ordinary, completely normal to see like that and to feel like that. And I don't think, again, anyone would blame us for seeing the world in this way, right? But we're not here to be ordinary. We're here to be extraordinary. We're here to be agents of transformation. We're here to bring the light. We're here to have the source of all life work in us, through us, and as us. So we're here to say, transform my eyes, because do we not also have a billion opportunities to see seasons of love unfolding? A billion opportunities to transform how we see or experience something so that then it becomes the sweetness of our lives. Even if it brings tears, even if it still has what in the human condition we call pain, we can see how something has unfolded in a way that has been the fabric of who we have created ourselves to be in this moment. We have the ability to change our perspective. There's a quote that I saw recently. It says, sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but you've actually been planted. Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but you've actually been planted. What if we were to take this practice and we were to make it real? This idea. To recognize when we feel like we're under our emotions, when we feel like we've been buried, that it is ours to step in, to invite the fullness of source into each experience in each moment and say, show me how I've been planted. Show me how in this moment, this is the beautiful planting of an amazing seed that will grow in my life. Ritual is important. We can be so busy in our day-to-day lives that we don't stop to presence our emotions, that we don't stop to process our experience, right? Especially in our culture. We don't give ourselves enough time to actually be with all that is so that it can move through us. See, emotions, right, are not meant, emotions are energy magnets, they're creators, right? They're creators, but they're not meant to get stuck in us, not meant to be lodged in us, not in our minds, not in our spirits, not in our beings. They're meant to flow through us because they're simply energy changing. But when they get stuck, when they get lodged, they become perceptions. And perceptions become perspectives. Perspectives become beliefs. Beliefs become dynamics and frameworks and ways of seeing and experiencing the world. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, no? That we get validation and verification that, this way of seeing is in fact true. So it is important to pause and to invite in times of sacred ritual where we can clean the slate, where we can clear it all off and start again. In Catholicism, there's the practice of confession, and there's a lot of great that can come, a lot of greatness, a lot of great experience, a lot of great transformation that can come from that experience of confession. Because we as human beings have human experiences, right? We all have the light. Has anyone seen the film Maleficent? Is it Maleficent? Yeah, that film. I love that because it was one of the first, I'm not like a big, Disney film person, but when someone suckers me in, I watch them. And then they're really good and I really enjoy them. But that was one of the first ones where I noticed a big shift. And the big shift was that the Savior wasn't who you thought it was going to be, right? It was totally not traditional. And hopefully I'm not blowing it for anyone. And the transformation work had to be done within. So the darkness and the light were both within the same person. They were not externalized as figures fighting against each other, which we often do in traditional religion, right? We have the devil or the darkness, and we have the God and the goodness. But in fact, they were all aspects of being. They were all opportunities within the same being, within the same field of energy to do the work. And so that which saved was within, that which could obliterate the light was within, and that which could open the floodgates and uncage the soul was within the same person. Is that not our spiritual reality? So in Catholicism, when we have that confession, that's an important time because a burden is lifted. There are some things that we're not going to be able to share with other people. There are some things that we go through that we're not going to feel safe enough to talk to someone else about. There are some things that even if we talk and we talk and we talk to person after person after person, we will still end up with the feeling of suffering that we get when we realize no one understands. And no one will ever understand. Even if the experience is universal, even if the experience is one that's part of the hero's journey, part of what human beings on a spiritual plane, on a human plane, on an evolution of consciousness experience when they're in this body form, still, the human being recognizes no one will ever understand me. No one will ever be able to heal this. No one will ever make this go away. I tend to say when people go through periods of grief or loss or extreme discord to not worry so much about it going away. Because sometimes our suffering is tied to love, isn't it? Sometimes our suffering is tied to some of the deepest love that we've ever experienced. And in order for that suffering to go away, sometimes we think, oh, that love has to go away too. I think sometimes we just get used to it. We get used to what it feels like. And so it becomes less like suffering, and it evolves more into a new state of being, a new form of love. When we loosen the grip on saying something has to be healed, 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 gone forever, rather than saying, Can you turn this into the sweetness of my life? Let me get more comfortable with this form of me, with this form of experience, rather than saying it has to go away forever. We did some work with Brene Brown this year in her book, Daring Greatly. And one of the biggest parts of her work is about shame. And one of my favorite things that she said is shame loves secrets. Shame loves secrets. And that's why the Catholic ritual of confession, that's why the unity ritual of the burning bowl, that's why ritual that has happened with tribes and people throughout the ages has included a practice of letting it go and getting it out, of naming it, of sharing that secret, of uncovering it. In unity, we do that with this burning bowl. You got a piece of paper. Do you see a little piece of paper that maybe you were told it was flash paper? It's a little white square. In unity, this is how we do it. You got a little piece of paper today, and it's magic paper. So yes, you have magic paper in your hand. It's called flash paper. And so it's paper that packs a punch. When you put it up to a flame, Reverend Marianne, can I see your paper? We'll give you another one so you can still get your... Oh, can we do it? Do you mind? Okay. All right, she's free. So this paper signifies that transformation work, because we know that the energy of the flame and the energy of fire is transformation. It's like an alchemical transmuting of what was. And so you'll take this paper, you light it, and it will fly. You can see it's a little crazy. It's a little frisky. So that's why if you have any children, you can do it for them, not have them do it. You do it for them. And it takes a couple things. It takes not being afraid. It takes knowing this is some powerful stuff. This is not just any other piece of paper. It's not just something light, that it packs a punch. And what you do with this paper in this time, we'll do a meditation a little bit here, but what you do with this paper is you put anything that you would like to release, that you're no longer willing to take with you into this new year, that you're no longer willing to sit with in the hibernation of winter, that by this time, at this time today, will mark the day that you said, I let go and I let God. That you invited in a higher power, and you invited in your highest self, and you invited in the fullness of spirit, and you said, transform this. Now, you can write down a million little words on that paper if you want to. You can also just get into the emotional field of the gunk, the emotional field of the suffering, of the sadness, and remember that you're never letting go of the love. You're never letting go of the love. You're saying, allow me to see this differently. Allow me to experience life differently. Allow me to release this so that I may be available to all of the beauty of my being and all of the beauty that life has for me. Because no one in any place, space, or time would want you to suffer. No one in any place, space, or time would be served by your anger, your resentment, your pain, your blame, your judgment. Right? So you could just press all of that into that paper. This is the time, and it's the time seasonally, right? It's a time of incubation. It's the time where those seeds get planted, right? It's the time where everything goes into hibernation. You know, a tree that looked green before pulled all of its energy back to the source, back to the roots. And on the outside, it looks dead. On the outside, it looks dead because it's hibernating. It's like drawing all of its good stuff so close to the heart, so close to the core. That's what we do in this time, in this season. We don't want to be doing that when there's a dragon in the cave of hibernation with us, when there's a predator or something that we feel like is going to attack us in there, when our very minds or our beings, we don't want to hibernate with all the negativity. We don't want to hibernate with all the suffering. Do we believe in our transformation? Do we believe in a moment everything can change? We all know it's true. It happens every day, right? We all know it's true. That in an instant, everything can shift. The only problem is we think it can only happen to us. We forget that we are called to activate it. And activating it is what the master teacher, the way shower, taught us to do. Activating it is what the master teachers throughout the ages have said. You are of this light. You are of this power. Bring it. So we take this special space and this time for ritual today. After we do our burning bowl, you'll have another opportunity. And that would be to write a letter. Does anyone have that piece of paper? You have a letter piece of paper and an envelope? Beautiful. It's blue. It's blue, so you will not mistake it for the burning bowl, because what you can't do is put your release onto the blue light healing paper that does not pack a punch, that in fact has angel wings to bless and multiply all that you write on it. You don't want to be putting that in this flame. We've had that happen before, and then it's holy smoke in here. But on this piece of paper, you'll recognize that it's a clean slate. So this is where you'll come back to your seat after the burning bowl. In this time of sacred meditation, the lights will be a little bit dimmed. They'll be dimmed up here for the burning bowl. You'll have enough light to see back there in the seats. But you'll be writing a letter in meditation and creating space. Now, we're a community, so we're creating space not just for ourselves, but for everyone. So the activity that we're all doing this at the same time makes a difference. The activity that we have sacred music and that we have quiet and a reverence in this room makes a difference. So when you're done writing your letter, you'll just enter a state of meditation, a state of prayer and reverence for yourself, for everyone in this sanctuary, for the planet. For all of our live streamers, I told them before, this is a little side note, I always say hello to them before, and I told them they could either, if they have a fireplace, they could grab a piece of paper so they could do the burning bowl with us, and if they don't have a fireplace, they could try it with a candle, but to be safe, and if they want to avoid all of that, they could grab a roll of toilet paper, and they could write all their burning bowl stuff on the toilet paper, and then when we do our burning bowl part, they could go to the other bowl, and they could flush it. I did tell them that. But on this letter, when you get your letter, you'll start writing affirmations to yourself. This is a letter to your future self, a letter to your higher self. This is a letter to God consciousness, not like a letter to Santa that you put on a wish list. This is a letter of intention and commitment. This is a letter of your highest power unfolding. This is a letter from your wisest self, knowing what you are capable of and what you are committed to in order to manifest and demonstrate a higher future. So this is the letter to you on what you intend to transform, of what you're here to be, of taking an inventory at the end of the year and looking towards the end of next year at who you choose to be. By the end of next year, who you choose to be spiritually. Now, this letter can't have anything negative in it, nothing negative at all. All of that goes on the burning bowl paper. So it's not about, I will not be codependent anymore. I will not invite another person into my life that whatever. I will not keep crying or staying stuck and depressed about this and that. That goes in the burning bowl. It is about your affirmation. I will call on my highest self to seek wisdom. I will stand in my meditation and in my practice, asking my eyes to be transformed every time I see my experience, every time I see the world around me, every time I presence the world within me. I will behold myself with the compassion that I would give to a newborn baby child. Whatever it is, what, if you practice it for the whole next year, will be conducive to birthing the next you. And that's what goes in your letter. These letters will be mailed back to you at the end of next year. So you have two choices for that part of the service. You can leave them with the ushers on your way out the door, and you will get them back next December in the mail, because you put your address on the envelope. So you address the envelope to yourself. Or you can choose to keep it with you and put it in a sacred space in your home. Put it on an altar, put it in your purse, put it in your wallet, give it to a best friend to hold it in prayer for you, whatever you choose to do. So you either keep it with yourself or you give it to our ushers and we'll mail it back to you. But that's your letter. It's important to experience ritual, to create times in our lives where we pause and we stop, to create sacred spaces to heal and renew, so that we can create a new cycle in life, so that we can acknowledge that each moment we're a new being. When we're little kids, you can see it because every year they grow, it's like a windstorm. They change so much. 4 years for a little kid is a lot. But we don't always see ourselves changing the older we get. So it's important to pause. Now, some people say that I've changed a lot since the picture I have on my website. They say I look much younger then. And then I need to update it to my older page. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about letting go and recognizing that we all change in every moment. And yes, we need to update the spiritual picture. We owe it to ourselves to update the spiritual picture and to put the new, fresh you on the page. Not to keep the old you, no matter how amazing and beautiful it may have been, no matter how awful and hard it may have been. So that's what we're here to do. So I invite you now to enter into this time of meditation with me. At any time during this meditation, feel free to open your eyes and write on your paper. You may have already filled it. You may just be infusing it today. But at any time, feel free to do that. So I invite you to close your eyes as you're ready and take a deep breath into this space. This is our time of meditation, our time of transformation. We fully dedicate this time to putting all the energy, all the thoughts, all the limitations that no longer serve us onto this magic paper, onto this paper that we just allow to represent the support of universal love as a transforming agent. Just like the earth takes everything, no matter how toxic, it takes it and it transforms it, it cleans it. So does this spiritual practice happen for us. That it's safe to release any judgments, any fears, any worries or concerns, any ways of living being, any emotional patterns, any behavioral patterns, anything that limits us, and just let go. With each breath, we let go. We hold this paper in our hands, and we let it simply absorb anything known or unknown to us that limits the light coming in us, to us, through us, as us. And we allow the words of Reverend Sapphire Rose in her poetic prayer to be received in this moment. She let go. She let go. Without a thought or a word, she let go. She let go of fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of all the right reasons, wholly and completely. Without hesitation or worry, she just let go. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go. She let go of all the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of all the planning, the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her day timer. She made no public announcement and put no ad in the paper. She didn't check the weather report or read the daily horoscope. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't call the prayer line. She didn't utter a word. She just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort. There was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was, and it is just that. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A small smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her hair. And the sun and the moon shone forevermore. Giving ourselves the gift of letting go. There is only one guru, you. Let go. And as you're ready, I invite you to bring your time and your attention to this moment. And as you're ready and able to come to one of these flames and to release. And if you're unable to walk to this space, just raise your hand and an usher will come to you, or someone sitting next to you will offer to do your release for you. So as we release, we just let go. There's no need to hold onto the paper to worry what it may burn or what it may do after you've let it go. The second the tip touches you, just let it go, just like life. And as you come back to your seat, you make a sacred space around you like a womb, like the Holy Comforter, and just take that piece of paper and that pencil or pen and just start writing. Just start writing. Let it all onto that page, your highest intentions to your highest self. So I invite you with me to say, I am new. Together, I am new. So welcome to the new you. Welcome to this sacred space.